Hello beautiful people, and yet another video today. Last week after posting my sexuality story, one of the comments was it is such a tough subject to approach, and I totally agree. I totally agree that when it comes to sexuality, it's one of such taboo subjects, and it's very difficult to talk about them because for many of us there's so much trauma that goes with it, and also on top of the trauma that goes with it, there's a lot of cultural norms, religious norms, familial norms that make it hard to talk about these things. However, on this video, I do have more that I want to share with you. But before we get into that, let me remind you about the 4th of November. There will be an online retreat. I'm hosting an online retreat that will be about 6 hours. But you can decide if you want to attend only for an hour, only for 2 hours, or you want to attend the whole thing. If you do want to secure your spot for that, please fill in the form below. I've left a link where you can just say online retreat, and then I'll be in touch with you with regards to that. And the online retreat is themed sexuality beyond sex. So if you're someone who is exploring what sexuality means for you, who's exploring a healthy way of approaching it, who's exploring creativity, you want to be available for that retreat. There'll be music, there'll be food, there'll be all sorts of things. So please be available for that. All right, now on to today's video. Today's video is really about what sexuality means to me, or what I think a healthy sexuality feels like. And as I mentioned before about culture and religion, we've all been thrown back and forth between suppressing and overstimulation. So you'll get these messages, whether from parents or from church or from school, messaging that says, hey, hold back, hold back. And then at the same time watch television and watch like a normal ad. You're not even watching something adult. Just a normal ad will then be overstimulating your need for intimacy and your need for sexual interaction. So we've been thrown back and forth in that. One, on the other hand, suppress, and then on the other hand, overstimulation. And then personally, there's also people who have fallen to the spectrum of I want to suppress as much as possible because it's such a scary subject, it's such a scary thing. I want to not explore what sexuality is even for me, and that we know exactly what the issues with that are. And then there's also the overstimulation part, people who feel like I'm gonna be as free as possible, I'm going to have as much sex as possible because they think sexuality and sex is the same thing, and they're thinking, okay, I'm gonna have as much sex as possible, I'm gonna do as much as possible to show how free I am, and we also know the results of that. So what I would like us to explore in this video today, it's something sort of right in the middle instead of the two faraway spectrums. I have notes so that I can remember. Yeah. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to talk about whilst we are still on the overstimulation was the fact that sometimes the reason I separate sexuality from sex is because sometimes our need for sex could be because we want to be seen, because we want to be acknowledged, we want a sense of community, we want to feel loved, we want a sense of intimacy. There are other needs that we have, and we are thinking that it will be fulfilled on this side. So that's why I'm separating it, because it could be just a need for community. It could be just a need to be seen and things like that. So that's another thing. And the reason why it can get confusing is because as humans, the needs that are louder, when our bodies and our souls and our hearts have given us enough warnings, enough messaging, the one message that they send that they know it's going to hit, it's going to be loud enough for us, is hunger and sexual need. So if you haven't taken care of been taking care of yourself, you'll feel that you start feeling hungry. That's where comfort eating comes from. Or if you feel like you are excited and you're happy and you don't know what to do, and you celebrate that with a meal. And I'm not saying all meal celebrations are that. What I'm talking about here is that you might feel that you're hungry, and all that you are really going through is that you're feeling thirsty, or that you are feeling excited or sad, or you need to be comforted, and then food comes in. So our bodies will use hunger as a way of getting us to listen. It also uses our sexual needs as a way to get us to listen. If it's been telling us you need to be more intimate and you need to be more seen, you need to be acknowledged, and I'm not listening to that, then the next feeling will be, oh, maybe I just need to have sex, and that's it. So there are those two things where I feel that's where being healthy comes in, because if we are healthy on our minds, on our bodies, then I know, oh, actually what I'm needing right now, and knowing also what I'm needing, there's plenty of ways of finding it. This is not the only way of getting it, but there are plenty of ways of finding that, and going with that is important. Okay, now on to the topic of the question of what does sexuality look like. If you Google sexuality now, I do not have the exact dictionary term, but it will speak to you about who you sleep with. They will say sexuality is all about, are you going to sleep with women or men? They will say it's about the gender that you are choosing and things like that. So it's always about what's outside of you, who you choose to share yourself with, and or who you choose, which box you choose to tick on the gender boxes. And for me, that's not what it's about. It's really not about the outside or what you are doing outside. Rather, it's more of what's coming from the inside, in a sense of it's beyond personality, even not even like who I am personally. It's beyond personality and more about how I choose to approach life. So beyond the act itself, beyond who I choose to share the act with, beyond the gender that a person chooses, and beyond the personality, but mostly how one chooses to approach life. And I believe really that is where sexuality sits, is how, and you can tell if you look at the relationship you have with the act itself, or even the relationship you have with food, you can tell that it is really the relationship you have with life. If you feel life is stressful, difficult, suppressing and things like that, you will see that on the other side too. So whoever we are in real life, in day-to-day life, is who we become when it comes to sexuality. So healthy sexuality looks like starting from you, rather than starting with all these boxes that you need to tick, but starting with you and starting with, how do I choose to approach life? Do I choose to approach life with freeness? Do I choose to, how do I handle all the trauma or all the pain that we see in the world right now? And it all has to do with that. It just comes down to small things like, how do I choose to take care of myself? How do I choose to work? How do I choose to do as many things as possible that we do on a day-to-day basis? I want to make sure that I don't forget anything here. All right, and back to the culture and how culture affects all of this. I do not know where you are coming from, but I know for sure that you either were involved in some religious upbringing, or you were involved in some cultural upbringing, and cultural could include the movies you were watching, the music videos you were watching that are affecting that. And if that does not apply to you, relationships, whereby if relationships will have a thing that says, okay, now that you've decided you're with this partner, the partner will make it clear that you are not allowed to be attracted to anybody else. You're not allowed to have any sexual attraction with anybody else, which I feel is more damaging to do that, rather than saying, hey, let's explore this together. Let's look at, why would you be even interested in someone else? Why would you even be attracted to someone else? Instead of having this rule that says, no, you're not allowed. And when you do feel like you are attracted to someone else, then you are killed and dying of guilt. So that's the one. Or you have couples whereby they're like, we are more open, sleep with whoever you want, be as open as you want, and things like that, of which that's dangerous too, because then we are not looking at why this need to be open, why this need to invite as many people into this group as possible. And some people do that work, and they do it very well, on really looking at what exactly is the need here. Why do we need to involve other people in this relationship? And also those who are like, nobody's allowed, nothing is, don't even look at other people or something like that. That's dangerous too. So we've all been in situations where we feel like there's only two options. We can either choose to suppress, or we can be overindulgent. And what I am proposing in this all over the place video is, what if we look at why, instead of cutting off and saying don't do this, do that, why don't we just look at, why do I feel that way? Why do I want this so much? Why do I not want to do it? And that has nothing to do with the action, and more about how we approach life. Hope this video made sense. Please join me on the Discord group. I'm there every single day. And also, if you are interested, please fill in the form below. You will either say on the form if you're filling it for the Discord group, or you're filling it for the online retreat. See you tomorrow.